Let's take a look at the new RH2 reticle in the Acura RS25i rifle scope. So in this rifle scope, this is a second generation hunting reticle, and I'm a real big fan of the first focal plane. Like, we stopped selling second focal plane rifle scopes probably, it's been about 4 years ago. And what we found was customers are not able to do the corrections needed to adjust for the changing subtensions of the reticle for long shots with wind on second focal plane. So guys were failing to connect on the shots they were taking when they're not at max magnification. So first focal plane is mandatory, I feel, for a long-range hunting rifle scope. The problem with first focal plane reticle is when you turn the power down, the target gets smaller, but so does the reticle. And the old school European reticles were so thick and heavy that it really turned everybody off for using a reticle. But if you step back for a second, you think, well, how do I actually use a rifle scope? And this is the difference between letting an engineer or a marketing person design a reticle versus somebody who is actually a user, consumer, hunter. You're going to get a product that gives you what you need without the extra. So when I think about designing a first focal plane rifle scope reticle for hunting, I think, you know what? I never shoot at any distances whatsoever at a power that's less than half of my scope's magnification. So this scope's a 25 power, so that means somewhere around 12. I'm probably not going to use anything below 12. And, if you look at your use case and kind of pay attention to how you use a rifle scope, I think you'll find that's pretty close to the way you're going to use a rifle scope as well, except for those low light, close range situations where you might pull it all the way down to 5 or 6 power. And in that case, you need to have a reticle that works in that really low power situation. The most common way that you get a rifle scope to work at low power with a first focal plane reticle is to add illumination. The second thing you can do is use your stadia and your horizontal and vertical stadia to bring your eye to center. So essentially in our RH2 reticle, we've created something very similar to those old post type reticles where at lower powers, you just put the post on your target and shoot. So that's there in this RH2. It's a very, very nice setup. So at low power, you've got this awesome bar, and we have an illuminated cross in the center. So you've got two options there. And then at half power and up, you're going to be able to see all your subtensions. And what that gives us is a nice balance of line thickness so that at our 25 power, nothing's too thick. So we're still fine enough that we can do all the precision work that we want. Okay, so that's a big preamble for reticle design. The RH2 reticle features 20 minutes left and right. You've got 16 on your marks, and then the corners of your big heavy stadia is 20. So you got 20 minutes of wind hold. And then you've got the top of your post below center is about 4 minutes, right to the point. So you've got a real quick, hasty correction for holdover if you need to, but at low power, let's say you're shooting 100 yards, that post is going to be 4 inches low. So you just do a post hold, 6 o'clock hold on the target you want to shoot, and it's very, very fast. Okay, so that's your main stadia. This is an MOA version. So each one of those marks is going to have a 1 MOA subtension. And at the center, we've got a cross with an open center. So you got a really small open center. So if you're trying to center up on a bullseye on your 200-yard piece of paper, you can actually see your bullet hole. You can center up on that bullet hole or the aim point. So you got that center, then you've got your cross, and then you've got a 1 MOA gap. So the end of the cross is 1, across the gap to 2, and then you can see the markings at 4, 8, 12, 16. So that kind of guides you that way. A couple other interesting features on the RH2, and we'll get into this when we talk about the ballistic data ring, but you have some small light dots at 2 minutes above, and then you have that row of numbers and the corresponding marks at 3 minutes below. And that's going to come in handy for a lot of hasty field hunting scenarios that you can come up with to help bracket in an animal. And it really gets valuable when you've got a BDC turret ring on there. Okay, the last feature that I wanted to show you this is crazy, but it's really common, is when people are holding wind, which I think is absolutely the best approach for correcting for wind, long-range hunting style. For me, I've done it enough that it's very easy to visualize. If I'm calling a left to right wind, that I need to hold my crosshairs into the wind. But sometimes in the heat of the moment, somebody that doesn't have a lot of practice, or maybe you're hunting with somebody that you haven't communicated with well before, you might call like, hey, that's a left wind, or the wind's going to the right, and you start getting your directions mixed up. And what we have is some nice wind indicators. So if you go all the way to the right side of the reticle, you can see that it shows you a wind that looks like it's blowing from the left to the right. So if the wind's blowing that direction, then you need to hold on that side of the reticle to be able to compensate. And it's vice versa on the other side. For a really quick double check to make sure you're holding the right direction, just look at the indicator and say, well, is that direction the wind's blowing? Then I should be on that side of the reticle. So it helps you from maybe making that mistake on that big 220-inch buck. The RH2 reticle is the best reticle for long-range hunting. It's first focal plane, which I believe is mandatory. It's simplified so that you don't have a lot of extra competitions type, complications. So it's very simple. So it's going to help you be more successful. It's got the basic tools that you need for wind holds, for hasty holdover corrections, for small adjustments, and it's designed properly for visibility at low magnification and all the magnifications that you use in a rifle scope. So with that being said, let's move over to the illumination. Let's cover how the illumination functions and what lights up in that part of the reticle. So we've got a center crosshair that subtends a minute each way of your center mark and up, down, left, and right. That center cross is what illuminates on the RH2. And the illumination control is super simple. It's just a push button. You're gonna press and hold to turn it on. You're gonna press and hold to turn it off. When it's on, a short press will increment up until you hit the top, it'll flash, and then keep pressing and it'll increment down. There's 10 steps of illumination. So once you find that optimum position and you've set it there, I think that you'll just turn it on and turn it off when you need it, and you won't really adjust it that much. I don't really use it for daylight shooting, so I set mine up for a lower evening, before twilight type setting. It works pretty good. In the next video, I want to just go over our zeroing on our turrets, our windage and our elevation turret, and just show you how we set those up. It's pretty fast, and in the field, it's really easy to reset your elevation turret zero.